Alright, so not too long ago I had done a video where I made some light cast into the floor of a room using vanishing point. Well, we're going to take it a step further here in CS3. We're going to use the new and improved vanishing point and see if we can get a much more interesting effect using that same type of lighting effect. So what we're going to do, I'm going to make the light coming through this window here appear as though it's shining on the floor and the wall at the same time. Now, in CS2, to achieve this in Vanishing Point, we would have had to do one plane and then gone and do another plane after that. Well, CS3 has eliminated the need to do that. We can do it all in one quick step. So, what I'm going to do here is actually draw a selection using my elliptical marquee. But before I do that, let's create a new layer. Then, I'm going to draw that elliptical marquee just slightly bigger than the window itself. And we're going to fill that with white, which is set as my foreground color. So simply hit Option Delete or Alt Backspace on the PC. Deselect that, and on that layer we're going to go under Filter to Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we're going to give it a relatively soft blur, about a 3%. Let's actually make it about a 4. And we'll hit OK. And then I'm going to activate that layer as a selection by holding down my Command or Control key, clicking on that layer. And we're going to copy it to the clipboard. Copy. Deselect, turn off that layer, and now I'm going to create a new layer on top of that one. And now we're going to go inside Vanishing Point. Go under Filter, Vanishing Point. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start drawing my plane. I'm going to do the floor plane first, start in this corner here, drag this out, and just like that. Now the red line, of course, indicates that I'm not in accurate perspective just yet. Just move these little points around until we get our blue grid right there. Now next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to draw the second plane, which will be the wall right here. And I'm going to hold down my Command key, click on this point right here, and begin dragging that one up. And it will go and it will line up right up to the top right there. So now I've got the plane for my wall and the floor. I want to do Command V to paste that object into my Vanishing Point window. And when I drag it into the plane, you can see that it's gone ahead and taken the shape of the perspective. But I'm going to rotate a little bit because I want it to be the long way. Yep, like that. It's a little touchy. And it's a little big, a little long in there, so I'm actually going to bring this over and scale this in quite a bit. Move it right along here. Still a little big in there. Something you got to be careful for when you are dragging your images inside your plane, that you are careful about the size, because sometimes this thing will just jump right out there in the size, and you'll have to really search around for the edges so you can rescale it. So now that we're scaled down, I'm actually going to position this right about where it seems that the light would be coming through the window and hitting this area. I'm going to widen it just a little bit. And once that is all done, I hit OK. And there it is on its own layer into that window. And I'm simply going to change this layer's blending mode to soft light. So there, we have a subtle light coming through that window. Well, it's not entirely convincing just yet. We still need to add one more thing to make it look like that light's coming through the window, and that is basically the beams of light that you see that shine that light onto the wall. So, again, create a new layer, get my elliptical marquee, and I'm just going to draw just a big selection from top to bottom, not very wide, right about like that. And then I'm going to go over and get my gradient tool right here, making sure we're going from white to transparent, white being my foreground color. So white to transparent. Inside that selection, I'm going to hold down my Shift key and come in from the left side just a little bit, and then still holding down that Shift key, coming in from the right. Maybe just a little bit more, just like that. Deselect it. I'm going to double click on that layer, bring up my layer styles, and we're going to add an outer glow just to give it not so sharp an edge on there, and then we'll hit OK. So I'm just going to use the default glow in there. It's going to be good enough. Next, I'm going to add a layer mask to that layer, And again, with the gradient tool, going from black to transparent because we're on a layer mask this time. Coming in from the top, holding down that shift key, I'm just going to drag in a little bit. And then from the bottom, and there we have that. Now, with the layer itself selected, not the layer mask, I'm going to simply bring up my Control T or Command T to bring up my free transform, scale this in just a little bit, and then rotate it till it's in the approximate direction of the window. Then I'm going to press my Control or right click on the object while it's still in free transform mode, get this little menu and go to Distort. And then we'll take these points and individually move them into position relative to the window and the reflection on the wall. And once that's in position, press Enter. Then it will render that window right in place. Now, it seems a little harsh in the middle there, so I simply change this layers blending mode again to soft light. There we have it. Gone ahead and taken the light coming through that window and put it on multiple planes using the new vanishing point here in CS3 and enhanced it with more beams coming through. And of course I can scale this in just a little bit more just to make it a little bit more accurate as far as the direction of the light. So, just nudge that into place. So there you have it. Another interesting use of the vanishing point tool here in CS3.